Obviously, you mentioned that meeting with Caitlyn yesterday, and the conclusion was she was out for the season. Just what went down in that meeting, and kind of what factors factored into her being out?
Yeah, I mean, I think just having conversation with her and collaborating, and we knew that that West Coast road trip was going to be a big one to see where we could get and how far we could get. And I think at the end of the day, she's been working her butt off to be able to get back, and we've kind of run out of time to be able to do it in a safe way, in a safe manner. And I think we've all been very open and upfront with her long-term health and wellness is the most important thing. And to be in a position that you need to be in to play at this time of the year, we just ran out of time to get her there.
Steph, what stood out to you about Caitlyn and kind of the ray of emotion she probably felt as you came to this decision?
Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating, number one, just all the injuries that she's had. Obviously, I wouldn't speak for her, but and the amount of work that she's put in to position herself to be able to play, and then to have to ultimately make this decision. There's disappointment. There's the obvious frustration that's come with not being healthy really for an entire season. But ultimately, I think the big picture is the most important thing, and those are conversations that we've continued to have. And the message has continued to be that it's not her long-term health and wellness, and her being 100% when she's ready to go is the most important thing.
I'm curious, before the game, everybody's in uniform. You have 16 players out there.
It's almost like a real full roster, right? I mean, in most sports.
Anything go through your mind when you're like, oh, it'd be nice to have that and that and that?
Yeah. I mean, certainly. What went through my mind was back in the day when I was playing, when we had 15 on a roster, and you had your injured reserve or whatever else, and so it was like, wow, if we started the season with this many players and had them in the system throughout the course of the season, we wouldn't be starting over every time we had to bring in a replacement player. And then you see our Gimpy MASH unit that got their picture taken as well, and it's just it's a reminder. Number one, I think just from a human standpoint, never take any day for granted, never take anyone for granted. And I think the other thing is just for this group, and a reminder of how resilient they've been to be in the position that we're in right now, and how proud I am of this group, and how much we still have yet to do.
Hi, Stephanie.
Hey.
When prioritizing long-term health for Caitlyn, I guess the next step would be what happens in the offseason as far as recovery, rest, rehab. Have the Fever and her team started collaborations as what that will look like in the off-season months?
I mean, we had a preliminary conversation about what it looks like from now until the end of the season, just in terms of continuing to progress and rehab and get her back on the court as much as we can, and then we'll sit down and talk about what the offseason looks like once we're finished with the season.
Hi, Coach. How do you think Caitlyn's sophomore year will help her in her growth, mental, and how to deal maybe with frustration?
Yeah, I think for a player who's not been injured really before, you have to learn how to handle that. And it's not easy. It's not easy. There's so many pieces of being injured that come into play, and I think. My hope is that when you look down the road and when we see, after she's ready, 100% ready, that this is like a little blurb, right, for her. But that we've learned, how to handle some different kinds of adversity. We've learned that, nothing is linear. That now that she's had an opportunity to sit on the sideline and watch from the sideline, just to see different nuances of the game. You see it from a certain perspective as a player. You see it from a certain perspective on the sideline, and there are always opportunities to learn and grow and maybe see it a little bit more from a coaching mentality and mindset. And then there's a hunger and a drive that comes with not having played and not wanting to do that again. So what does that look like from, a training perspective? What does that look like from a mentality perspective, from a preparation perspective? Just as much as what you learn about the game and about your teammates.
You mentioned the West Coast trip as that final evaluating period. Just what were you looking for? What was she not able to do during that stretch that kind of solidified that decision?
Well, we were really looking to be able to see if we could get her on the floor contact, first and foremost, because she probably gets the most contact of any player in our league. Continuing to build endurance, and can we do that at a high level, back-to-back days. And, we just weren't able to get to where we thought we needed to be to be able to participate at this level. And some of that's physical, in terms of the rehab and all of that, but some of it's also endurance and being able to play at the level that it takes, and being able to build back that endurance enough to play, because all of these games right now are like playoff games, and there's a sense of urgency and there's a level to which they're being played, and we just we just ran out of time.
That's almost what I was going to ask about a little bit. Is that your message to the team right now? It's kind of like we're saying it about Caitlyn, but it could be applied to the team where nothing is linear, and everything, and you've had these interruptions, and now every game is like a playoff game. And is that the message you are giving them every day now?
Yeah, I mean, this time of year certainly, but the situation that we're in as well. And I think with this group too, it's. They've been incredibly flexible, as well as resilient, and being able to. I feel like we're reinventing ourselves like almost every week, and they've been able to do that. We've been able to handle setbacks, and we've been able to find ways to find success in those setbacks. And so, I think regardless, the roots that this group has really grown culturally is important. You don't just know how to go through circumstances like this. And I've been a part of this league for 25 years, and I've never seen all of this stuff happen in one season to one team. And, our group has continued to fight, claw, and position ourselves that we're in the hunt for the playoffs. And tonight is the most important game, and Chicago is the most important opponent. And how we approach this game is all that we're focused on right now.
Stephanie, one more. Just personally, when you decided for the homecoming to come back here, you expected one team. The team looked one way. As you just said, it's kind of been just unprecedented, a series of unfortunate events. So how much have you changed what you wanted to do as a coach, or just how much have you just changed just as as you approach the team day to day, because it's not what was expected?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's part of coaching. It's part of adjustments. It's part of the chess match and the challenge. Yes, we had a team on paper that we expected to come in here with, and it didn't end up being that team. And at various times, we've had to scale back in a lot of ways. We've had to reinvent in a lot of ways. We've had to find different ways to position players that we didn't know were going to be on our roster in order to create success for them and give them an advantage and best fit them. And so I give our core group of players a lot of credit too, because they've been very flexible in understanding that, hey, we've got to make sure that everyone is set up for success. And how do we do that? Well, we're not playing the same way we were playing in May and June. And what we were running in July, we've had to adjust as well. So, I give them a lot of credit. Our coaching staff has worked incredibly hard to try to continue to find ways to put us in positions to be successful. This group continues to fight and claw every single day, and incredibly proud of them for that. And we've got basketball yet to play, and we added a new player, and we're going to use her, and we're going to put her in positions for success as well. But this is a hungry group, and I think if you have watched this team from afar, and then if you've been in here every day, you can see that they are hungry for success, that they want to continue to grow and continue to get better. And some other teams that might not be as strong culturally or be as resilient could have folded multiple times, and this group hasn't. And we're in a position right now to get into the playoffs, and we're hungry to get into the playoffs, and quite frankly, they deserve it.